The lasting echoes. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Room. The old house on Maple Street had been silent for far too long, an echo of the past lingering in every creaking floorboard and fading memory. Emma and Alex stepped inside after a decade away, their hearts heavy with the weight of loss. Their mother was gone, taken from them suddenly by cancer's cold grasp. As 20-year-old twins, they clung to each other as they navigated the empty rooms that once rang with laughter and love. The familiar landscape held little comfort now, yet it felt safer than venturing into the unknown alone. Amidst boxes of dusty antiques and forgotten photographs, a small wooden door caught their eyes. Hidden behind a stack of books that seemed to have aged before their very own gaze. Curiosity piqued by this new discovery, they carefully pulled out the thick tome hiding the entrance. The wood was old and rusted, refusing to budge at first, but Emma's persistence finally rewarded her with a soft groan as it swung open on hinges that creaked like whispers from another time. A musty air wafted in, carrying with it secrets kept for years by the wooden slats. The room was small and dimly lit, the only light filtering through yellowed lace curtains clinging to the windows. Shelves lined two walls, each bearing an old photo album that seemed to whisper tales of their family's happier days. Birthdays, holidays, summer vacations brimming with life. Emma and Alex exchanged a glance, fingers intertwined, as they entered cautiously. The albums were arranged in chronological order, starting from when their parents first brought them home. Turning the pages revealed memories they couldn't recall. Laughter around the dinner table, birthday cakes adorned with candles that seemed to glow like embers of happiness. Each image was a piece of a life before grief and heartache took hold. Yet amidst these moments of joy, there were photos that left them uneasy. Children they didn't recognize in their own home. Faces twisted into rictus grins, eyes shadowed with secrets. A chill crept down Emma's spine as she paused at one such image. A child's giggling form amidst a room filled with toys, the child not recognizable with sunken eyes and an unnatural posture. The laughter felt wrong, as if joy was being squeezed from the very soul. "Alex, look." Her finger hovered over the page, pointing out the little girl. His gaze followed her hand before lingering on the photo in shock. "Who is she? I don't remember her." A frown etched Alex's face, brows furrowed. "Neither do I. Maybe it was a neighbor?" Doubt crept in as they turned more pages, capturing moments they'd long forgotten. Their own childhoods. Then there were those strange pictures, dark shapes lurking just out of frame, shadows that didn't seem to belong. Emma felt the weight of the past settling upon her shoulders like a shroud, and she couldn't shake off the feeling they were trespassing in someone else's memories. "Let's put these away before Mom would tell us to clean upstairs." But as their hands brushed over a worn leather cover, something caught her eye. A photo not part of any album, an old wooden box adorned with strange symbols, bound by chains and tape. "Leave it," Alex advised, but Emma's curiosity was piqued. With nimble fingers, she undid the locks that held it captive for decades. The lid creaked when opened, revealing a collection of daguerreotypes. Images on tin plates suspended in a world of darkness. In each, an obscured figure stared back, their faces barely visible beneath shrouding shadows. A small diary was tucked away, its cover inscribed "To my children." Emma's breath caught at the date. It belonged to them. As she opened it, words leaped from yellowed pages. "Dear children, I fear darkness creeps in our house." Night had fallen when they decided to return with flashlights. The air inside held a strange quality, as if secrets waited patiently for their attention. Emma slid open the first cabinet of many. Yellowed letters and photographs spilled out. Tales of love, loss, and whispers of things that couldn't be spoken aloud. In them, her mother spoke of an attic room where voices resounded when no one was present. The door had always been locked, she claimed, but now it was free to unleash its contents on unwary souls. In the fading light, a soft whisper brushed their ears, making them freeze. "What was that?" Alex asked, turning his flashlight towards the ceiling. Emma's gaze followed the beam. An odd shadow darted along the walls and beneath the doorframe. The whisper grew louder, sounding more insistent. They approached cautiously as it changed to a single word: run. Their laughter was brief before they realized this was no prank. Their mother had spoken of such pleas in those letters. "I'm going up there," Emma said, flashlight trembling in her hand. Alex followed close behind, dust motes swirling around them like specters. The attic was cluttered with boxes, an untouched world where decades' worth of memories were buried beneath old newspapers and photographs. One wooden trunk displayed their names, dated to a time before birth. As they opened it, the whisper dissipated into silence, leaving only the oppressive stillness of aged paper. A letterhead identified the contents as belonging to their mother during her own childhood in this house. She spoke of strange happenings, sounds from walls and doors slamming shut without cause. But the final entry dated much later than they had thought possible, ending abruptly mid-sentence. A photograph caught their eyes, a young Emma and Alex sitting on the same trunk, smiling at someone no longer there. They exchanged a look, unease settling like a chill in their marrow. It was then that the whispers began anew, voices within the walls urging them to flee. They made haste for the door, the whisper growing to an insistent clamor as they descended. "The room," Emma said, turning to face it. "It's haunted." Alex nodded in agreement, a nodding motion almost imperceptible in the fading light. The wooden frame slammed shut behind them with an ominous thud, plunging them into darkness that was not night. They huddled together under their childhood bed, where they'd shared nightmares years ago. In this new dawn, it came over them, echoing within their minds. "Get out while you still can." They clung to each other as the voice swelled, a plea for escape. Chapter 2. The Whispering Walls. Days passed, and reality was a fragile thing. Every sound from the locked room unsettled them. Whispers at dawn, footsteps by night. Emma dreamed of their mother's pleas. Alex spoke in his sleep of a woman who couldn't let go. Each day brought news of strange occurrences, muffled voices, rattling windows. They tried to focus on school, but the allure of the forgotten space proved too strong. Night after night, they ventured back, determined to unravel its mystery. The diary revealed an attic door long hidden behind a trunk, rusted hinges protesting as it creaked open. Inside lay relics from times past, antique toys, yellowing portraits of children they didn't know. A letter addressed to you two told them of the house's history. A family torn apart by loss and madness. They found their names carved into an oak desk, dates etched in blood. 1984, 1988. Shadows moved at the corner of their vision as they entered. Shadows that seemed rooted to the floorboards. "Find Me" was inscribed next to each year, a plea echoed by the room itself. In the early hours, with dawn approaching, Emma found an old journal belonging to one Lily. Within its pages, Lily spoke of strange happenings, voices from another realm. She'd hidden in her closet as darkness crept from walls. Desperate laughter filled the last entry. It was their mother's. The diary fell open at a page titled "The Dark." A silhouette huddled beside it. They recognized it with growing dread as their own. Faces pressed to the glass, mouths agape, and eyes blacker than ink. They fled, but the room would not relinquish its hold on them. At night, Emma found an old locket buried under a trunk's edge. In her palm, a boy stared back amidst the dust, a face she knew like her own reflection. "My children, help me." Echoes of their mother resounded in their minds long after they descended those stairs, leaving them to wonder which memories were their own and which belonged to Lily. An old key was next on their path of discovery, hidden beneath the floorboards. Lily's story had become theirs now. With the key, a secret room unfolded before them. Photographs telling a chilling tale of loss and a tragedy buried deep. In them, a mother stood at an edge, staring into abysms. They found her, bones scattered beneath moonlight, their faces twisted in silent screams. It was then they realized she had never escaped the darkness. It consumed her soul. In the morning's light, they spoke of it with a haunted look, and left the attic untouched for the first time that week. But as classes ended, Lily whispered run once more. The house was no longer silent or safe. Chapter 3. The Haunting Truth. Lily's story had become their own, but with the key, they'd uncovered a door she'd never seen. Outside in the rain, it seemed to breathe an air of its own, as if death sought release from that room. Her presence grew palpable. Shadows moved on their own now. The photographs spoke of love and sorrow, loss, and what was left when life's light faded. On a night plagued by dreams, they resolved to dig up the truth in Lily's grave. It wasn't until they unearthed her skull with a single braid that reality shattered. It was still tied by bone and hair. A sudden gust pulled her braid free of those skeletal fingers. Lily walked among them. In their room, eyes blacker than night watched from shadows, as if waiting to relive the past. The mother had never left. She'd taken solace in photographs of what they became. A boy consumed by darkness and an infant lost between worlds. The attic pulsed with an unseen light. Lily's spirit merged with their own, offering clues that led to the room where it all began. They descended, her presence fading behind them. "Mom," Alex called out in bed one night, but sleep had long abandoned him. Echoes of their mother resonated through the house. Pleas for help and a desperate need for escape. The attic was silent now. No voices from within, as if Lily had found peace at last. He rose to join Emma, finding her standing before that room's door, chains broken by unseen hands. They ventured upward with trepidation, faces bathed in an ethereal glow. Her eyes shone black as coal in the dim light. "Lily." They entered a room where the dead spoke in hushed tones of sorrow and regret. The girl's braid was free, her presence no longer palpable. Emma placed a hand on the wall. It felt alive beneath her touch, warm to their palms. Welcome home etched itself across Lily's skin as she smiled. The face they knew. They found a small room with portraits of all that had fallen under darkness's sway, including themselves in youth and decay. Lily spoke, voice barely audible over distant rain. "You two were always meant to be here." "What do we do?" A whisper asked from below, and they descended slowly. The chain broke free as they reached the top step, clattered on the floor like a call to arms. They turned back. Shadows coalesced into figures, no longer just darkness. "You came home when you needed us most." Lily whispered amidst falling leaves. And so it was, with eyes blacker than night and hearts still heavy with sorrow. They found peace among the echoes of loss. They descended to an attic room bathed in their mother's face as she hung from a rope, just below Lily's photograph. In that moment, they decided not to be consumed by what had happened, but to carry those who came after them forward into light and love. The chain lay before her, free at last. Her smile faded like the night, when darkness had taken everything dear, including her life. The room seemed to hold its breath as Lily's gaze touched first one heart, then the other. They were no longer lost, but the keepers of this dark legacy, bearers of the weight on that fateful night. And so they left, knowing that even in loss and darkness, there was always hope. They left behind a child's laughter and the echoes of what had been, descending to a new dawn with heavy hearts yet hopeful souls. The house stood at peace, no longer home to those who'd suffered as children or adults beneath Lily's watchful gaze. They carried her braid like a symbol of their journey through the past. Lily's spirit whispered her final words. "Let it not consume you, I've been waiting." The child she never had time for was left behind in darkness. For there is love that passes beyond death and hearts yet to be found. She vanished as they walked away from the manor with a light step, no longer alone or lost beneath earth. They embraced at last, two souls who understood both the pain of the damned and those in waiting. There was hope for her, even in loss. They parted ways not long after. Lily's story would remain buried forever, but in their memories, she would never fade away like a forgotten photograph on an attic floor.